And now we can discuss further for the next point, how to successfully conduct or start, present, or close B2B sale meeting. All right, so that's important. The first one, we already get through cold calling. So now we are going to meet up with the customer, right? And so what do you think about what kind of the success factors for the efficient sales meeting with the customer? Right. So what should be the some of the key points or selling point to be successful with the first meeting? Because the first one is very important, right? This first meeting, if we don't have leave it the strong impression about ourselves, about our services, or personally, so then probably we don't have a chance, right? It's quite similar like we do the cold calling for the first 1 or 2 minutes. If we don't have a strong impression for the first 1 or 2 minutes over the phone, so then definitely we don't have a 15 minute with the audience, right? So the same for the meeting. What do you think important points or selling points or success factor for the meeting, B2B meeting?
First of all, you need to make sure that you are well prepared, and obviously, for the meeting, you need to be very punctual in a timely manner. That creates a very good impression. Also, your appearance. Let's say if it's a physical meeting, if you think that you are not well versed about the product or you have lack of confidence in yourself, you should engage with your supervisor or higher who is very well versed to bring him along. And then your training, your presentation material is very important. Obviously, you are not just going to go there and engage in a verbal communication. You have to have your slides ready and not done everything. You have to put in, assuming that you have understood the customer requirement based on your engagement via cold calls and cold emails and further inquiries. So everything is well prepared, and you go there and you successfully conduct the meeting. It can't be too long because they don't have much time. So you need to get all that done and be very professional. Or as I said, if you are think that you can't deliver it on yourself, then you have to bring a key team member who has a very depth in knowledge about things or experience.
Right. Thank you, Siva. Any others input or comments on this point? So other team members? Nhi or Min or Phi have any others or different ideas about what Siva just shared?
I think I agree with Siva because it's a good practice. Yeah, I used to do that too.
All right. Okay. So let's say we are in the sales team, right? We are going to meet the customer. So suppose you are the sales manager. So you will have a meeting with the customer together with our team. And what will be the first point you need to know before the meeting? Discuss with our team, right? So what do you need to know for the meeting? Okay, let's say tomorrow we have a meeting with the customer. So you play the roles of the sales manager. So you will be on our team here to have a meeting with the customer tomorrow. So what kind of information or what kind of question you will have to the team before the meeting? Or you just simply, okay, let's say I'm the salesman, right? So I said, boss, tomorrow we have a meeting, so we go to have a meeting with them, and then I prepare some document already, presentation already. So please join with me tomorrow. So any question from you, you guys? If I am the sales people to invite you to join the meeting with the customer tomorrow, then.
The first thing I think that the level of the guest in the call, manager level or executive level, or who will jump in the meeting with us. This is the first thing, and the second thing we have to know deep dive about the demand of them, the solution that we will present in that meeting. Two things.
Okay. Any other ideas?
Well, you need to confirm the time of the meeting. Second, you need to have a journey management plan. How far is it from your office so that you can plan your journey well? And third, like what Min said, you need to know your target audience.
Right. All right. Okay. Any further input from Siva or Nhi points? Okay, so fully agree. So that is very important point. The first one, I think we need to know if I am the if I was a sales manager, I need to know who will be the target audience or who will we meet, right? That's very different because let's say if we are present tomorrow, we are going to meet with the technical directors, and then we know who will need to from our team we need to invite to join, right? So definitely we need to invite our technical guys or technical leaders team to meet as well, because let's say from the sales side we cannot answer all the technical question, right? Or so that's a very different approach because we know that's a kind of technical session, so only the technical people can answer those one. And if we know the meeting will be, we had a meeting with the CEO or the CFO or the C level, right? So then what we need to know who we need to bring in. Let's say we need to, if we have a meeting with the CEO, then we need to definitely we need to invite our CEO. Probably maybe depends on the culture as well. I just share with you. Let's say if we are working with the multinational Western company, so it might not be that important, right? Because let's say from Western European or American companies, so they might not the customer, the audience might not be very much caring about hierarchies. So we are the sales people, we are easily to talk to the CEO from the customer side. They are very open. But if we are working for a kind of Asian culture, like depends on, let's say we are working for Japanese, we are going to meet up with the Japanese customer or Koreans or even Vietnamese customer. So the hierarchy is a very important, playing very critical roles. So assuming that we are going to, we know the customer said tomorrow we will have the CEO to join the meeting, and definitely we need to invite respective C level to join. Either normally should be our CEO to the meeting. So that's the culture of respect. because that's here we are talking is not right or wrong here. Definitely no, not at all. But that's a really most relevant to the culture, right? So if you just leave it to the sales manager to meet up with the CEO from the customer, the Japanese customer, might not be, we can be failed from the beginning, right? So that's a very important point. So that's why the first question for any sales leadership, we need to know before the meeting is who will be the target audience, right? So very important point. And then we can have the respective team members or management or leadership to meet up with the customer then, right? Okay, so that's a very important point. Any others comments or input on this point? John, how's about in India? I'm not sure from India. I'm also familiar with working with some Indian company. To my understanding, that's the from Indian culture. I mean, business culture.
Hello, dude.
Yeah. So do you see that's also quite relevant to the hierarchy in Indian, or I mean the so from the business culture there, or still open like Western companies?
Sorry, I just missed you. Would you like to just repeat the question? Because I missed some of the internet connection probably.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's say from Indians or from Sri Lanka or Pakistan culture, business culture, is this required for a kind of respective hierarchy to in the meeting with the customer or not?
It depends actually. What kind of participant in the meeting from the customer side? If the customers, the team is coming from, let's say, HR director level, so they will expect the agency comes with that kind of strong team as well too. Otherwise, customer may have have an impression that the agency doesn't really giving a lot of importance into that meeting, and yeah, so that's kind of I have seen the similar kind of thing in Vietnam too as well.
Right. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much for your comment on that one, John. Yeah. So I can see this is also important when, especially for you guys working in the multinational customer, we can have the Western, American, European customer, but also a lot of Asian like Japanese, especially from Japanese or Korean or Vietnamese. Let's say if you are working for a company and selling some product to relevant to the state-owned companies, Vietnamese state-owned company or government relevant company. So definitely the hierarchy is very important. Let's say if you are working on for Japan, you are going to meet up with the Japanese customer. Notice that if you are the sales people, you are the female, right? So that's might be not a good the good impression if the female sales people to meet up with the customer. Well, that is here, like I mentioned, it's not right or wrong, but just a culture. So because we know, right, in Japanese business cultures, males still dominate in the business. So they look. So sometimes they have the meeting with the female. Definitely, they look the opposites are very weird, right? So I can share the story, that story, because let's say I was the CEO for one of the distributor Vietnamese company in Hanoi many years ago. I think it's in 2010. That's we sold on the construction equipment like excavator from with a different brand, Hitachi, Komatsu, Hanta, and so on, asphalt, paver, and so on. And I was a CEO there, and I also report to the group chairman, and also I have the one of the, because I sold all the Japanese product, right? All the heavy equipment from Japan, and I had the one of the technical advisor, Japanese, the senior. He was about 60 plus. At that time, he was with Komatsu for over 40 years. And we had a lot of partners from Japan coming down here. And one of the partners or vendors, they sent one of the ladies from Japan to meet up. And yeah, so actually the Japanese female, she was just assistant to the chairman. And one time they sent only the female without the chairman, right? So then my Japanese advisor said, "Oh, you don't need to meet her, okay? So let me arrange you to meet up with the chairman." So to share you the story, that's the kind of a culture from Japanese business. So then we need to understand a bit from business culture. That's a very important to apply to do the right sales efficiency when we had a meeting. Okay. All right. So back to the first one is a very important is to know who's our target audience. Okay. All right. So next one. All right. Target audience. So the next one, what is important? We're talking about the plan, right? Or agenda, the meeting agenda. So if we are, you play the sales leadership in any organization, before the meeting, we need to make sure what will be the agenda. Okay. So what's your ideas about when we had a meeting with the customer, regardless what the solution or products or service you are selling? So what should be the agenda look like? Can anyone to share? What is your agenda structure? Again, I'm talking about the meeting agenda structure. How do you structure that? Or structure, or I mean the plan. So let's say we have the introduction, right? Agenda. We have the introduction of ourselves, and then what will be in your agenda structure then?
Abdullah, I would love to hear your input actually.
Actually, my internet is not working very well, so I cannot hear the question clearly. Sorry, can you one more time?
Okay, so I mentioned now we are going to meet up with the customer, right? So we need to understand the agenda. So my question is, what will be? Let's say you playing the sales leadership role. So what will be the meeting agenda structure? So let's say I mentioned, for instance, the first 10 minutes will be the kind of introduction, and what will be next then, for instance?
I think that we should try to get more information regarding the client specific needs. If they have any specific requirements, any specific needs. For example, if we are selling them an RPO product, we can also try to understand their culture, their budget, what are the things that they are looking for, so we can provide them with the best product that is suitable for their need.
Right.
Thank you for sharing. You actually asking a brilliant question, Duke. So just let me go around the people and get some more input about this one, and then you can actually give really good feedback, and that will be valuable for them. And let's go with Huang Mai. How about you? How would you run the meeting?
I think, I share some opinion with Dupla. Like after our introduction, we must try to really understand what the problem of our client is, because without the information, we cannot produce the appropriate response. And the key is that we should keep the flow of the conversation. A lot of clients, they don't want to share about them. They just want to acquire information from us and use that information to compare, to benchmark with other competitors on the industry. And that is not really good from our side. We should be the one who take the initiative.
Thank you, Hoàng Mai. Let me go. How about Kanmin? How about you? How would you run the meeting? Please share.
Actually, to run the meeting, before that, we have to research about their demand first, what they need, and what about our solution could give for them. And within the meeting, I think that actually our client is not the expert. So in the proposal, we have to highlight our unique selling point, which is the rationale, the data to prove that we are the best compared to other scenario in the market. Yes.
Thank you for sharing. Maybe we want to take one more person feedback on this one. Shiva, would you like to share about your thoughts about this one? How we run a meeting?
Well, first of all, I would say that we need to have a meeting agenda prepared prior to the meeting with the customer and discuss and plan. So once you have a meeting agenda, you will know roughly what are you going to convey to the customer. So the first thing, the most important task will be getting the customer to agree in taking a sample or demo product before they eventually buy it. And then you need to know if the customer is working with any other companies regarding this product. If yes, then what would be your strategic move to convince them that your product is better than them? So all this can be achieved if we have a very detailed meeting agenda prior the meeting takes place physically.
Thank you for sharing. That's a really good input from different team members. So when you're sharing all those things about when you craft an agenda, you could come up with two type of strategies. Before I'm giving it to Duke, just helping them to give you some bullet to them so they can really connect your idea, because I know where we're going. We're going really great place. So whatever you share is a two type of strategy. One type of strategy is about you having a shotgun and you just do it like trying to target anything as possible, or you could be a sniper who really target and you shoot. So whatever you guys shared so far, it's very much like a shotgun effort, which is basically you feel like you want to go but not really targeted yet. So what I feel when you go to sales meetings, your agenda should be prepared. What you're going to do to create the scarcity in the meeting. Your agenda should be prepared. What you're going to do to create the social proof for your solutions. Number 3, when you come to a meeting, what you have to decide very clearly what you're going to do exactly based on your research. What are you going to do to build the authority on the table? Number 4, when you go to the sales meeting, you have to prepare the sales agenda. What are you going to do to make the likings between them and you? And the 5th thing, what could be your escalating commitment? How you make them to say small yes before they come to the big yes. And the last one you have to do is about how you define the exchange. You're going to make it feel like it's going to be an exchange. You give the value, they give you value back. So these are the 6 things I think should ring your bell, because there was a training session about this one too. So I want you to guys really boil them in every meetings before coming to and in the meeting and after the meeting too. So now I'll get back to Doug. Please continue. I think you're going somewhere great.
Thank you very much, John. So you add very valid point. Yeah, I appreciate Siva. You mentioned very good point too. Yeah. So actually, before the meeting, right, we know the agenda, and normally we need to have a kind of team members, especially even small. I mean, regardless how the first meeting or the last meeting with the customer, from the sales team or leadership side, we always have the kind of the team meeting before the meeting, right? So then we know agenda. We need to understand what will be the objectives of the meeting we need to achieve during the meetings, after the meetings. So let's say if we have the meeting with the technical director from the customer, so we know the objective. That's one we'll need to bring in the technical team. Then we need to convince them technically on the solution, right? If we have the meeting with this, because a different target audience will be the very much different objectives to be achieved, right? So then if we have the meeting with the CFO, so then if you are talking about the technical things, that will be pointless to them, right? So then we need to form the CFO, finance people. They really must caring about the return on investment. So that we need to speak the right language to the right audience. Okay. So that's really important. That's why we bring up to the first point. That's a target audience is a critical factor to lead to our successful meeting or not. Okay. So the objective of the meeting is also important during the agenda. So, and the agenda, we need to structure, as say, we're talking about the introduction, definitely that we need to structure clearly during the meeting with our internal team, how long. So we discussed by how long we are going to present our solution, and we need to like Kanmin, you mentioned about sometimes we need to understand the customer problem, right, or issue, and then we make sure when we present our solution or services, that services will help the customer fix their problem. So that's the selling point. Regardless how cool your products, let's say your product have a 10 excellent features, but your 10 excellent features does not meet the customer problem, does not solve the customer problem. It does not make sense. So the other competitor, they may have only 5 good features, but they can fix the customer problem, so they can easily to convince. So that's the key point, right? So we focus on the customer problem or challenges, so then our service will be provided the value added to the customer then. So that's very important in the agenda, how we present to that one, right? So, and also during the meeting, I think it's more important, of course, because we, for the first call, our initial research, we might understand the customer very initially, right? So then we need, during the meeting, we need to have a kind of the question, the leading question or open question to the customer. So that, I think, importantly, to understand the customer, we need to motivate the customer to share more their requirement. The more information the customer can share, the better for us to provide the service or the right solution to the customer. So then the structure is, we need to including some session, we have the Q&A question, leading question, open question to the customer, so that the customer feedback to us, and then we can present our service or product to solve their problem. Okay. And of course, that's the last one is we leave it to the open discussion, and of course we need to present the solution. And here we one of the very strong selling point when we present, right? So we need to, once we understand the customer problem, then we present only our selling point to solve the customer problem. We don't need to present all 10 beautiful feature. So we just focus on only 3 features that fix the customer problem. So that's the key point. Okay. So then that's the agenda we need to know very well. Okay. So any others question or comments from my points? All right, assumes if you don't have, so I have one question. All right, so back to the first target audience. So let's say if the meeting, we know the target audience. Okay, that's very easy. If we know, okay, this is will be the technical session. This will be the financial session. So what if the meeting including all of different people? I mean different. So also including the chairman or co-founders of the companies, also including the technical guys or the technical leadership, also including the finance leadership. So what will be your strategy for the meeting agenda? Right. So now we have the mix up of all the different business function from the customer side. Especially there will be the chairman, the co-founders of the company. We know that maybe he or she might not have the full time to join the meeting, only about half an hour, 20 minutes. So what will be your strategy for the meeting then?
What do you like to share, Huang Mai? Let's start with you.
I think that we cannot like satisfy everyone. Like we cannot speak everyone's language, so we need to target. There would be some decision maker among people coming, and we will focus on the one who has the highest decision making power. And also, if our function is coming, I think that we should put more emphasis on how our solution solve the like um like how can our solution solve the problem of collaboration among those functions and how they together can use our solution.
Thank you. Let's go around a few more people. Chaman, what is your thought about this?
Yes.
How would you prepare for that meeting?
I think that I need to clear, like really prepare for what I need to present, like deep understand about the customer problem, so that I can have the best presentation for them to convince them and have their focus on our product.
Thank you. How about Abdullah? How do you prepare?
First thing, I think if so many senior management level joining the meeting, that means they are already very interested in the product that we are offering, or at least they are interested in working with us. So that should be a positive thing. What we can do is usually the senior level management, such as CEO, they are more interested in the long term, so like partnerships or solutions, long term goals than the short term goal. I think we can emphasize on that from the beginning. We can also show what value our product is offering right now, but also we have to show what kind of value the company will gain over long term. As I mentioned, I think generally senior management are more interested in that. And after maybe let's say that the CEO will join in for 30 minutes. After that, we have 15 or 20 minutes left after the CEO is left. So we can either focus all the talking in 30 minutes and finish the meeting in that time, or we can show the general value, the strategic value for the company that we are offering, and then we can discuss the financial or the details after that with the lower level management.
Thank you, Abdullah, for sharing. How about Kanmin? What's your thought about this?
Actually, in the meeting, have a lot of senior level. I think that the first thing is I will target about the highest position first, the one who have full power of making decision. And I think that about CEO and chairman, the first thing they want to hear about the exactly problem. At least we have to show them that we know exactly their problem and we are the expert in this. And for CEO level, I think that there are three key points that a CEO level will focus on. The first thing is about the solution. The second thing is about the cost effectiveness. And finally, as Mr. Adupla shared, I think that they always want to go with the long-term solution, not a short-term solution. So we have to build up the long-term solution that they could reuse it in the long term, not just the short term, not just so one problem, so for the long term. Yes.
Thank you for sharing. Doug, please.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. So it's not. I think it's not easy, right? Yeah. So that's I think a kind of challenging to have the multiple people in the different roles from the customer side. So we cannot have one session to satisfy all together. But one of the things that's a good thing to have all the leadership to join the meeting because they consider us and they seriously consider our services, right? So that's a very good news. But the challenging is how to satisfy. So I think it's the most important. Back to the first question, we know the first one. We know who's the targeting in the meeting, and then the next question is who will be the decision makers in that meetings, right? So let's say if talking about a technical session, definitely the technical director will be the decision makers. But if the kind of the meeting combination in combination with all the finance, co-founders, technical leadership, and so on. So then we need to identify who will be the decision makers. So then we need to deliver very strong a kind of selling points to that person first. Let's say we know, let's say the chairman of the company, he or she might not fully to sit down with us for all because that's they are very busy. So let's say the strategy that we need to have only about 10 to 15 minutes for the first 10 to 15 minutes to sell to that decision makers. So I think for most of the organizations in general, yeah, and the chairman and the CFO, I mean the finance will play the very important roles, right? And also, if you are selling product for the technical side, yeah, definitely the technical or this relevant to technology could be the CIO and so on. So that we need to have about very strong selling point to make the strong impression to that decision makers, right? So let's say for only 10-15 minutes. So if after we did good job for the first 15 minutes and the rest we will serve for the other audience, right? So he or she can, I mean the chairman can leave the room, but he or she already have a good impression about solution. So that's also relevant to what we need to deliver during the meeting with them. That's talking about if we deliver the strong selling point, that's talking about a short or long term benefits, right? So like Adupla mentioned, that could be because in short term might not be interesting, but the long term, normally the leadership they look on for the long term, right? Long term here could be the service side, could be in terms of the investment, especially let's say your products might be very cheap from the first let's say for the first few years, but it will be increased significantly increasing for the last 5 years. So that's in terms of long term, that's a very expensive services or products. So that's definitely will kill the presentation to from the leadership perspective, right? So that's very important to make the impression in terms of the long term benefit to the customer, right? So that's a very important one. Okay, and yeah, we're talking about the audience, the agenda structure, and also talking about how we can mention about the problems, right? So what should you do for any, let's say in general, for the meeting agenda? How long should you organize the meeting? 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or well, what's your idea about that one? How long for the meeting should be the efficient meeting?
What do you
30
think?
minutes for the presentation.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, Shiva, go ahead.
30 minutes for the entire presentation, and we allocate another 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A session.
Any other ideas? Well, I can say the meeting, very common practice, especially for, well, I can say Western culture, right? Within 1 hour, 45 minutes to 60 minutes. I think that's a good time frame for most of the meeting. But some, like I experience, I think is agenda is a very important, because I used to work for most of Western American or European companies. Very clearly, the meeting very sharp within 45 minutes. Yeah, let's say we have a 45 minute to discuss about the solution, presentation, and the last 50 minutes for the Q&A. That's a good time frame. But and very sharp on that one. Very sharp time. We start on time and also very on time as well. Very clearly. And definitely, I know for the time being, we are even now we are working from home, and the timing, the meeting time frame is definitely really most important, because with the work from home more, we have the back-to-back meeting on the ways, right? So on ways we have that kind of very much busy. Right. But I just share with you again with the Japanese customer or some Vietnamese customer as well. They may not have that clear agenda, right? So if we don't have, even we are you are from the supplier perspective, that is a very important. We need to lead the customer in terms of the meeting agenda, right? So like I said, if you are meeting with the Western company, they definitely, that's a kind of common practice. But sometimes with the Japanese customer, I experience working with some Japanese customer, they don't have an agenda at all right? So they just ask, okay, I had this problem, so I want you to come to meet us, and just come to meet. And I question to them, can you have any agenda? Okay, I have this point, about 3 points. But when we come up to the meeting with them, they last for 3 hours, and they pull on the team members. You know, the more people in the meetings, the longer the meeting will be, right? So that's why the first point, the audience is a very important to it, right? So I experienced with that one, because of when I did have a kind of the conversation with the leadership. So I thought that we only quite a few leadership we had a meeting. So I assume, so that's the challenge for the sales people. We should not make assumption, right? If we are not clear, make clarify with the customer. Okay, we just honestly ask the customer what kind of agenda, who will be joining the meeting then. So back again, my experience that the meeting with I thought that's only the leadership, but then the meeting he pulled on the team members. I think about 10, mostly 10 people, and then that's a kind of the open discussion. So that lasts for longer than we expected, right? So that's a very important point to make the efficient meeting with the customer, right? So that's the second point, okay? The timing we're talking about already, the solution, we need to have a kind of open question or a leading question so that we encourage the customer sharing the problem. So the more problem they can share, the better for us to understand and also to provide the right solution and services to them, right? Okay. All right. So that's talking about the sales meeting, efficient sales meeting, right? Any question or comment before we move to the next point, the last point? How to close the sale, right? Okay, so if not, I think we have about 10 minutes left, so I just have quite a few questions. All right, so what is important for, let's say we already have a good meeting with the customer, and what will be important, critical point to make successful sales? What's your viewpoint on this one? Can you just give me some important points to make a successful closing sale?
How about Huang Mai? You share some of your thought.
I think that at the end we should make clear. First, we should have a wrap up about what we have discussed today, what problems we solve, and what problems we haven't solved yet, and propose the next step in the process of dealing with our client.
Okay, assuming that we already send proposal after the meeting, we go back the office, we send the proposal to the customer. So we are now in the last stage from the customer decision making to select our services or competitors, right? So what will be, so this is now we are in the end of the sales cycle. So I mean, my question is, in the sales cycle, what will be the importance of point to close the sales successfully?
Tung Thi? Oh yeah, Mai, go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. I think that we should like remind them, like maybe they're too busy and they forget to process our proposal, or they just looking around for other proposals. So we should like follow up them after 2 or 3 days, be proactive in reaching out to them, and if we can ask them what problems that our proposal haven't solved yet, and make some adjustment if possible.
Okay.
Right. Duke, I just want to take a couple of people's more input too.
Yeah.
Tung Thi, what is your thought? Huang Tung Thi, you there? Yeah, please.
Yes. I'm sorry, due to the loss of connection, I could not hear the question clearly.
Okay, the question is, what's the important point in the sales cycle? Okay, so just clarify further. So what the key criteria to qualify the customer? Customer qualification, yeah. How do you qualify the customer? Now we already complete the meeting, several meetings with the customer. You already send a proposal to the customer. So how can you qualify the customer?
I think that we should keep follow up and increase our service, like remind customer that we always caring for them and waiting for their answer.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Let me go. Abdullah, what's your thought on this one? This is a very, you understand that this is actually one of the most important aspects, because now this is where actually resulting your whole effort. What are you going to do it?
So just to clarify, if I understand fully, are you asking that what are the things that they will think about, or what should we do after that, after we already finish everything?
Okay, after we finish everything, how do you qualify that's a customer? That's a customer qualification. How do you qualify that? What kind of the criteria you qualify the customer potential for you or not?
Potential value, their potential value for us or our potential value for them?
No, that means how potential they are. You're gonna sign the deal with them.
Yeah.
Oh, I can take a few criterias in mind. First, I mentioned before that we can try to understand what kind of services they are using at the moment that are similar to ours, and we can analyze what our product is compared to the services that they are using. So, for example, if they are using a more expensive service with the same quality and we are offering a more affordable one, that one of the criteria we might consider. We can also consider how engaged they were with our product, with us in general throughout the process. So if they were very engaging, very responsive, that generally would means that they are more interested in the product. Also, how high is their demand? How urgent is it? If they need it urgently or no. And lastly, how well could we fit our product to solve the problem that they are having?
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
I would like to take one more input, Duke. I think you have a lot to coach on this one. And Kanmin, what's your thought about this? How are we gonna see you have done everything from A to Z, and now it's gonna be this. What are you gonna do in this moment?
Okay, I think that there are two things to impact on our client to sign a contract with us. The first thing, they must trust us, that they must know that we are the expert in this field and we have enough ability to solve this problem for them. And the second thing, it comes from my experience when I work in Nestle. It's about the budget. Actually, between two proposals, if it reach to the maximum of the budget, I still will go with the agency who could deliver it well and who is more convincing. But we have to focus on the budget. Let's say that I have 100 million for this, so I will go with the agency could offer me around 100, but more convincing than another one give me 80 million, kind of this.
Thank you. Shiva, what's your thought?
Okay, everything, like what you said, John, everything has been done from A to Z. Now it's time to close the deal. So first of all, we need to ensure that the customer feels they are basically the customer, you make the customer, making them feel value, like you are giving them a commitment, by satisfying their needs, by understanding their requirement, and then you are making life easier, and also you are following up, you are responding in time, in a timely manner without any delays, that you are showing your proactiveness, by trying to anticipate on any future to be encountered issues. So, and then you care about the customer experience. So after the last meeting, and this is what you need to do so that you get the deal to be closed successfully.
All right. Thank you, Shiva. Duke, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, so I see